Part 144. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1445. Yan Ji turned his head to look at him in time, concerned. Where was the injury? Forbearance, I will be in the hospital in a while. Guyan heard the words, and his heart was soothing. He didn't suffer skin trauma, but he didn't explain. The co-pilot Xiaoji heard the dissatisfaction immediately, and said, "Cousin, you are too eccentric." "I am your cousin, okay. I was beaten by him just now, and you do pull the frame. Now I am injured like this. You do care about the same. You are still not my sister. How much you loved me when you were little, and protected me everything. How did you become like this, sister? You are so sad for me." Yanj ignored him. She originally felt that she was good enough to play, but when she met Zhuwei, she felt that this guy was called play fine. Guyan, frowning unpleasantly. He hates the cousin of Yanj. He asked the words, "Why haven't you heard of such a cousin before?" Yan Ji heard the words suddenly helpless, "I don't want to tell such a cousin." After a pause, she also said, "Look at how big I sacrificed to catch him. Wearing such clothes to go to the place in the bar this night and sacrificing my sleep time, really annoyed me." Guyan. He hasn't criticized the clothes of Yanj. Yanj has already made excuses for himself. Although this excuse seems perfect. Gugu always felt strange. The hospital arrived soon. Guyan was fine, so he sat in a chair in the corridor with Yanj and waited. The sound of Zhuwei's howl came from time to time from the consultation room, and it sounded strange. Yan Ji asked Guyan, "It's a coincidence today, I just met you." Guyan, "It's a coincidence." He heard his friend say that he had seen his little lover fishing for Kaiser in the bar, and he also gave him a cool picture of her strong makeup and bright makeup. He was still in the Cold War with her, and immediately came over when he received the information. He was going to break her leg. When his woman dared to come out and drop Kaiser, wouldn't this kill him? Eat him, drink his flowers his. Later I thought, she didn't eat him, didn't drink him, and never spent him. He gave her many gifts, and she was in the villa where he let her live. Never seen her wear out. The card he gave her, she never swiped money. Also, two people have been together for so long. Although she loves each other deeply, she doesn't seem to have expressed love with him. Moreover, he concealed his marriage, although he wanted to marry her, but now, isn't this still unmarried? Even if she did split her leg, he had no right to interrupt her. So I was originally stunned, thinking that if she really hangs up a Kaiser, what should he do? I did not expect things to turn around. He said, she likes him so much, how could she go to the bar to find joy and find Kaiser? She is definitely not that kind of girl. Yan Ji looked at him doubtfully, "You're not going to the bar to play, so it's so clever." The song that the wicked Su first turned angrily. But Guya listened to his guilty conscience, and he couldn't say that he was going to catch an adulterer. "A friend did ask me to go to the bar." Yanj heard sneer, "No wonder you haven't contacted me all day. It turned out that I was trying to find girls in the bar. This is jealous." Sure enough, she loved him so deeply that she was so jealous. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1446. There is no young girl. Guyan grabbed Yan Ji's finger and calmed himself in his hand. "Sometimes I go to talk in the bar, but I have a clean habit and don't like the young girl inside." Yanj heard the words, and his face became even more angry. A pair of already bright eyes were burning with anger. "Then you don't like it in the bar, what do you like?" "Guyan, I like this around me." Yanj was originally angry, smelling a red face, glaring at him and turning his head, humming, "You have a smooth mouth, I believe you will be a hell." "Guyan, I didn't lie to you. He squeezed his soft hands and looked at her angry little face. Xiaju inside suddenly burst out again, "My egg ah ah ah." Guyan heard that the egg was inexplicable, but some faint pain and sadness spread on the egg. However, he thought, he didn't use the puppet leg when he stabbed this guy, how could this guy be sore? Yan Ji was also very puzzled, and asked Guyan, "You've hit him?" Guyan shook his head, "No." Yan Ji sighed with relief, "He is the only child in my aunt's family. If this life is to be used later, my aunt must kill me." Guyan feels that, as far as her cousin is concerned, there is no difference in life. Better not. But he couldn't always say that in front of Yanj, so he appeased, "If the root of life is not available, your cousin will cry even harder, it won't be this kind of voice." As soon as Yanj thought about it, that was really the case. She took her hand out of Guyan's hand, and said unnaturally, "Don't do this, my family doesn't know about us yet." Yan Ji's heavy makeup looks pretty tonight. People who do anti-makeup much on weekdays, once they put on makeup, it's pretty bright, especially the lights in the hallway of the hospital are white and white. Yan's makeup looks very charming. Guyi didn't respond. He raised his hand and pinched Yan Ji's chin, got closer, and kissed Yan Ji's gorgeous and rosy lips. Xiaoju's horrible voice sounded again, "What are you two doing? You won't be afraid of thunder and thunder when you do this kind of thing in broad daylight." Guyan let go of Yan Ji, and he ignored Xiao Xiao, who stood aside, took Yan Ji's hand and stood up, "Where does your cousin live? We will send him back first." Before the song was spoken, Xiaoju said, "My house has been retired," and said, "Cousin, you took me, don't you say you have a man, you must kick my cousin out." His nose and face were swollen, and even pathetic, the words that broke his throat were not sympathetic. Yan Ji said apologetically to Guyan, "He is staying with me now." Guyan didn't care. He never visited the rented house in Yanj. The place was remote and the neighborhood was very old-fashioned. All he took Yanj to was the love nest he arranged for two people. In the villa. After getting out of the hospital and getting in the car, Gu Min said, "He can live with you, so live with me." Xiaoju's strange voice of yin and yang has sounded, "Cousin, if you dare to live with others, I will sue." Yan Ji glared at him, and then embarrassedly said to Guyan, "Let me stay there, because the two bedrooms are not crowded anyway." Guyan was not always pleasing to the so-called cousin of Yan Ji, but this guy has been doing bad things to him several times, and it becomes more and more unheard of. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1447. However, Gu Zheng did not force the words anymore. In his opinion, the top priority was to quickly dissolve the engagement with his time-hidden wife. After all, Yan Ji loves him so infatuatedly. If he learns that he has a hidden wife, although that wife is in name, he will definitely not feel comfortable in his heart. He had discovered in his jealous behavior tonight that she cared more about him than he thought. Guyan never thought about what would happen to two cousins under the same house. After all, this so-called cousin was a meander, and it was so thorough. After the song arrived at the place, Gu Zheng got out of the car and asked him a few words, and then he looked at Xiaoji with a swollen face, "Your sister loves cleanliness and cleanliness. Since you live with her, you are in order. Do auntie take your friends where your sister lives?" He made this cousin his own cousin, and he was not polite when talking. Relying on her cousin's status, Xiaoju snorted and looked up at Gugu uneasily, "What qualifications do you have to control me, you? You haven't turned right here with my cousin. You'd better please order me, otherwise I'll put eye drops on my aunt and let your chicken fly." After speaking, he also sneered a few times as a demonstration. Gu glanced at him, and clasped his fingers with both hands. Believe it or not, I'll beat you up now. Xiaoju shrunk his head, and decisively walked behind Yanj. Cousin, this kind of violent man is not a good match at all, so you have to share it with him quickly. This kind of man is most vulnerable to domestic violence. Guyan. Fortunately, his little woman still believes that he cannot do domestic violence. Yanj kicked his feet on Xiaoju's hoe. Go away and say a few words to your future cousin. Xiaoju covered her nagging, frowning in pain, grumbled dissatisfied, what should you say to avoid me? Yanj, say some love between lovers. Xiaoju. He looked at Guyan with a smug look, and muttered in his heart, look at the person who fooled you, and I will wear you 200 or 300 million green hats in a while. However, in this case, he also arranged the arrangement in his heart, and eventually he could only squat and wait. Xiaoju walked away. Yan Ji stepped in front of Guyan, took Gugu's neck, and kissed him on the chin. Thank you for today's things, you go back early so late, you have to work tomorrow then. Guyan's throat rolled. He even wanted to take her back. Looking down, he held the person tightly and gave a long kiss, and then he reluctantly let go of the words. Of course, his heart was determined that he would have to solve the time bomb quickly, and he would marry someone into the house sooner. Do NT say anything about cousin, that cousin's can't control how he sleeps with his wife. Yanj led Xiaoju back to the place rented by the original owner. Although the 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom house is small, the layout of the house is exquisite and warm. Of course, warmth is messy in another way. Very messy, all the clothes on the sofa in the living room. As soon as Xiaoju was sitting on the sofa, he found 3 or 4 bras from above. He glanced dumbfounded. The room, is pretty chic. After that, I got up from the sofa and looked at the bedroom where Yanj lived. The bed is quite big. Very suitable for 2 people tossing on it. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1448. Xiaoju was very satisfied with the bed. Not only because the bed is large, but because the bedroom is a pink series, even the bed is pink and tender. He likes this color system very much. Yan Ji glanced at him, go to the bath. Xiaoju originally wanted to brew a brewing atmosphere. After all, this woman has just separated from her genuine boyfriend, and it takes time to change. But I didn't expect this woman to be impatient. Rub. This is a. He knew that his vision was right. My heart was joyful and impatient. Xiaoju cast a wink at Yanj with his bloated eyes, okay. After that, Lin Mali undressed, leaving a yellow triangle inside to walk towards the bathroom. Yanj looked up, and there were 3 duck swimming cartoons on the egg in this guy's triangle. Real Nima is childish. However, this little Huang Nene reminded Yan Ji of the chicken. She stared at Xiaoju's ass, her eyes cold. This guy obviously didn't recognize her in the plane. I don't know if he lost his memory in the plane, or he still has it, but he couldn't recognize her. Xiaoji feels inexplicably cold behind him. But he thought it was because he had taken off his clothes. So I took a nap and quickly entered the bathroom. Thinking of what he was about to do next, he was in a cheerful mood, while singing a song while rubbing a fragrant shower. As far as his broken voice is concerned, singing and tug-sawing sounds are not much worse. Really audible people grit their teeth and can't wait to sew his mouth. Xiaoju took a bath, put on her Huang Nene again, and looked down at her great shore. I didn't think I was grand enough, so I rubbed my hands and thought that I was particularly fierce, and then I went out. Others are thin but white. Although they don't have abdominal muscles, they have fishing lines. The inside of the triangle that he wore wrapped his great shore. When his 2 slender legs moved, it seemed that the great shore was awe-inspiring, giving a visual impact. Yan Ji sat down on the sofa with his head down as if he hadn't noticed him. Lips smiled, walked a few steps, leaned down slightly, raised Yan Ji's chin, "Beauty, serve you under the bath." His most proud face is a pig's head, although he wants to create an affectionate romantic boy look, but his face now has a wry expression. However, he actually wanted Yanj to see his great chore. Yanj gave him a deliberate glance for a moment, raised his lips, and smiled, "Let's have some fun." She had a smile in her voice. I do not know why, Xiaoju saw her smile, somehow chills back. Yanj grabbed a pair of underwear and stood up, put it on Xiaoju's head, and pulled Xiaoju towards the bedroom. "Do you like to play games?" That being said, Xiaoju thinks that he is still a game player, and he has played any heavy taste. So when he heard the question of Yanj, he felt that this woman was playing a big sword in front of Guangong. At the same time, his uncomfortable feeling had dissipated. He cooperated and asked, "No, beautiful women want what games do you play with me?" Yan Ji didn't talk anymore, she took Xiaoju to the second bedroom. Pushing Xiaoju's body onto the bed, she wrapped some of the clothes she carried in her hands around her hands and feet, and tied Xiaoju to the bed. This took 9 from Xiaoju's head and stuffed it into Xiaoju's mouth. Xiaoju. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1449. Raising his eyes, Xiaoju and Yan Ji's eyes met. Yan Ji had no smile on his face, and stared at him coldly. Xiaoju slaps and glances around his limbs. The knots tied to his hands and feet are not ordinary knots, obviously he can't break free. This younger sister, are you trying to kill a corpse? Xiaoju's eyes widened, shocked and afraid. He has seen many perverted people, but in this modern plane, he has never seen a real pervert. Instead of sleeping at this moment, it is possible to catch his own life. Xiaoju suddenly felt the pain. Yan Ji glanced at him and retracted his eyes, then went out, took a fruit knife from the coffee table, and entered again. Xiaoju, he was right. Yanj, playing with the knife in his hand, walked to the bedside, and stroked the knife several times under his belly. Later, he loosened his hands and the knife fell directly between Xiaoju's legs. Xiaoju, I'm going to scare urine. He wanted to beg for mercy, but he put on a pair of underpants, and his words were just humming. Speechless, can only tears out. Yanj looked up and looked at him, his eyes were cold. Master Jiwei, I didn't expect to see you here, it seems that we really have a destiny. Xiaoju's eyelids jumped. He has more romantic debts and more enemies. Too much he didn't care. Anyway, with so many enemies, he hasn't died. He is best at killing enemies. However, when Yan Ji was staring at him like this, he felt that his heartbeat was almost gone, and he was sweating all over. He tremblingly remembered in his mind, which is his enemies? Is it because of love or hate, or was he murdered for treasure? His expression looked blankly at the Song of Songs, as if he was asking, what is 9 tails not 9 tails? He didn't understand. Yanj picked up the fruit knife, sat cross-legged on the head of Nine-tailed, and then stroked the knife against Nine-tailed chest. Remember, I will help you think about the past. The tip of her knife had drawn blood stains on Nine-tailed chest, and her voice slowly said, I remember a technique called Sansheiming, which reminds me of my third memory, but this technique, the process will be a bit painful, and it will work on people, and I don't know if it will work on your fox. She said this, and the knife in her hand was still being pulled, and she did not slow down. You can bear it, after all, I am also good at it. I have no patience. If you move it a little, in case I insert this knife you will lose more than your chest. Xiaoju. This woman, cruel and fierce, came up with such a vicious method as Sanjianming. Do NT be afraid of having more enemies? He thought about it in his mind, and did not expect such a figure in his enemies. However, he was very crisis conscious, and the pain in his chest reminded him that the woman was not really threatening him. He nodded hurriedly, tears streaming down his eyes. At this time, he really hated Guyi's man. Hemp eggs, otherwise, at least he could seduce the enemy with his face. Now he was all over his body and he could reach the third leg, but the enemy didn't sleep. How could he be fascinated by his superb technology? Xiaoju is not good, he has never planted such a follow-up. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1450. In the final step of Mitsui Misaki, Yanj pulled the out of Xiaoju's mouth, nine-tailed. Xiaoju nodded in a hurry, I'm nine-tail, don't need Sanming, really don't need to be so troublesome. Yan's song, is it? Zhu Wei was about to cry, and the other party cut off his vest, but at this time he would still not remember what the woman's vest was in front of him. There are many enemies, but also pit fathers. He asked the words carefully, dare to ask, beautiful girl. Yan Ji raised his eyebrows, staring at him with cold eyes, how did you get into the plane? Zhu Wei looked terrified at her expression. Ma, this woman was not the same when she seduced him, she became a vicious witch from an innocent instantly. Things like women are really dangerous. This is long storytelling. I was chased and killed and nowhere to hide. I was thinking of hiding in the city. I didn't expect to hide so deep, but it can be dug out by beautiful women. Well, where are you, if you say it, I can be a ghost even if I die. His voice was unpleasant, and the crying words heated. Yan Ji glanced at him, I heard that there is only one tail of the nine-tailed fox. What do you think the nine-tailed tail will become if the last tail is cut off? Yan's knife went to pick his underwear, what method should I use to help you get the original shape out? Zhu Wei stared at the song. Many people are thinking about asking him to be a fur, but he is a strong fox, but not a random killer. His eyes narrowed out the window, but Zhu Wei's tears never broke, beauty, the beauty is merciless. Wow, without the last tail, I am the only fox. You can keep me, but you can torture me anyway, but I change it's so boring to be a dead fox. You've been looking for me for so long, and you definitely don't want to hang me up so soon. Yanj laughed, I really don't want you to hang up so soon. But the next moment, her words turned, although you will become a dead fox, but you still have a soul source, I will treasure your soul source and see the imagination of the fox every day. In the opinion of Zhu Wei, a woman who is cruel and ruthless can solve it with one sleep. But now, his ability to sleep is obviously not useful. What a hero is useless. Zhu Wei seemed to be frightened, and looked at the song with tears in tears, sister, beautiful sister, can you let me be a ghost first, what happened between you and me, I always they are kind to others, and I really can't remember what kind of relationship they had with the beautiful sister. Yan Ji didn't look at him, her sword was stained with his blood, but she didn't stop there. She frowned slightly, as if she was thinking about whether she would continue to cry for 3 lives. He replied casually, no resentment, but I heard that your fox family understands a lot of spells, and I'm thinking of a technique to let you spit out all the spells in your mind. Nine-tail. His enemies are either because they love him or because they hate him. No one has ever become his enemy because of his talent. At this moment, he had such a little honor in his heart. Hemp eggs, even hit his mind on him, this is death. Nine-tailed eyes turned an idea. Since he came to ask him to teach, then he has to pay tuition. No, dedication and dedication are essential. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1451. Zhu Wei showed a confident smile with honey juice, beauty, you are really looking for the right person this time. I dare to call first in this respect, but no one can call second, and I have always loved the juniors who are good at learning. Let me go, I'll teach you so much, but if I know, I will give it to you and never keep it. Yanj held the knife in his hand, looked up, and smiled at him. Her makeup was gorgeous, her red lips were slightly raised when she laughed, and she was very hooked, but she didn't know why. Nine-Tailed smiled at her, and her heart suddenly became cold. This woman is very dangerous. But he has seen even dangerous people, he is not afraid, but just a little panic. Sure enough, his sixth sense is very spiritual. The next moment, the woman's knife was inserted into the back of his hand. Before Zhu Wei had time to call out, the woman stuffed her underwear into his mouth again. His painful cold sweat dripped, listening to the vicious woman saying, "Do you think you are qualified to bargain with me?" Her voice was soft, but her hand holding the knife was working hard again. Zhu Wei's forehead was sweating cold. He had already made up his mind, and in the future he would have to smash this woman, and then kill, and then kill. Yanj continued, "I know that there is an ancient method that can make life worse than death. It needs to use the human body as the matrix, the limbs blood as the lead, and the winter ice and summer fire. If it's roasting in the fire, it's rolling in the ice during the day, and it's always painful." After that, he raised his eyes and asked Zhu Wei, "Have you heard of this ancient art?" Zhu Wei shook his head in fear, though. But in fact, thankfully. Fortunately, this technique requires something special, winter ice and summer fire, which can't be found anywhere in the middle of the night. As long as he waited until Tianming was relieved, he could get rid of this cruel woman. Although he was lucky at the bottom of his heart, Zhu Wei was still crying with tears, shaking his head helplessly. Yanj yanked the knife out without looking at him, but got up and stabbed his instep again. "This technique can even be used on the ancient beasts, but I really haven't tried on people yet. Oh, I've improved it. If it's not unlocked by me, this technique will follow your soul source like a shadow, no matter how many bodies you change, it will follow." This pervert. The pain of Nine-Tail is not real pain. He felt that it was painful to encounter such abnormalities. Distressed. After all four limbs were drawn by Yanj, the edge of Yanj's knife reached the center of Zhu Wei's eyebrow. After the reform, it is not the blood that leads to the limbs, but the limbs. She stared at his tearful eyes. "Does it hurt?" Zhu Wei nodded in a hurry. "It hurt Nima eggs." "Don't worry." Yan Ji touched his hair to soothe, "It doesn't hurt much, you will hurt even more." Nine-Tail. "Oh, what the is this metamorphosis? Obviously there is no so-called winter ice summer fire, why should she poking his limbs? This is a legal society. Does this guy know that this is illegal?" Zhu Wei suddenly felt that when he was just able to speak, he should first talk to this guy about what a 5x4 beauty society is. It's too late to regret it. After the words were spoken, the sword drew a knife in his brows again. "Neither does the blood flow of Nine-Tail. After my death, the villain blackened again." Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1452. Yanj got up, walked out with his knife, and said to himself, "There is no winter ice or summer fire in this place, but using the fire on the gas stove and the ice in the refrigerator, you can't say success." Nine-Tail. What a lunatic metamorphosis he encountered. With the fire on the gas stove and the ice in the refrigerator, this Nima was at a loss. At the moment of Nine-Tails, I really felt despair. For the first time, I felt that the long night was really difficult. He was reluctant to be a mouse, and he was not willing to share a room with such a perverted guy. Yanj had already found a porcelain bowl, put white wine in it, lit the fire, and found a small bowl and took out 2 frozen ice creams from the refrigerator and brought them to the bed together. Nine-Tail. Zhu Wei looked at the 2 things she took, and the whole person collapsed. Yanj asked him, "Is it uncomfortable to have something in your mouth?" Zhu Wei nodded again and again. He now especially wants to sit with her and talk about this harmonious and beautiful society ruled by law. Yanj, be patient, you should be fine before dawn. Ninetail. After the song was finished, he sat beside him, drew his mantra with his blood on his stomach. In fact, this ancient technique has been lost for a long time. I also occasionally get half of the techniques, and the remaining half was contrived by myself. I haven't experimented with it on others. You are a good test subject. Now, Zhu Wei doesn't want to listen to her at all. Yanj drew very slowly. After Zhu Wei's blood coagulated, she either drew a knife or directly pressed Zhu Wei's wound with her fingers. It hurts Zhu Wei, to die or to live. He has always been passionate about women. This was the first time that I wanted to make this woman fall in love with him, and then throw her away, trample her, and kill her. Zhu Wei no longer shed tears, enough blood flow, he does not want to shed tears to waste resources. Yanj continued, do you think the power of ice cream and gas stoves is so great? Ninetails stuffed her underwear in her mouth, speechless, and no need for his answer when it came to songs. If the power is not great, we will improve it at that time. There are many kinds of fire and ice in this world, and we will experiment a few more times. Zhu Wei's body is almost all blood. He thought about gritting his teeth. This was the scene of the crime. When he escaped, he called the police. Be sure to let this pervert experience a jail life first. Yanj operation is more troublesome, and Yanj is relatively weak. Fortunately, she swallowed a lot of soul sources in the first 2 planes. Otherwise, let alone the nine-tailed surgery method, the headache may not be all right. When Nine-tailed shivered, she kept her eyes wide open and tried to steal. But he was lying on the bed, and Yanj was drawing a magic circle on his stomach. He could see nothing but blood. There is almost no aura in Yanj's body, relying on a powerful source of soul to support the completion of the law formation. One technique, she spent almost all night. Zhu Wei couldn't stand it and fell asleep. He felt that the worst was not worse than what he is now. Anyway, this pervert will not show mercy on him. So sleepy, he finally obeyed his heart and fell asleep. By the time he woke up, he had really left the nightmare. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1453. Janima was relieved. Ninetails never felt like this now. It turned out to be a pleasant surprise. Before dawn, clothed the French array, Yan Ji went to take a bath. When she finished taking a shower, she noticed that the guy in Zhu Wei was gone. She froze for a moment. But not panic. Nine-tailed foxes are good at hiding, even in places like system space, he can escape, let alone in the plane. However, as long as he is still here, he will come to her sooner or later. So after the song was stunned, he just threw all the sheets and quilts into the washing machine, and then lay back in bed and slept with his head. She didn't sleep all night and exhausted her soul. The whole person was exhausted. She almost fell asleep with her eyes closed. Because of this, although her cell phone was ringing all the time, Yan Ji did not pick it up. After the phone rang, it turned off. Yan Ji woke up until she fell asleep until dusk. She was hungry and charged her phone and went to the kitchen. The original owner's 10 fingers are not touched by spring water, and he is not a cooking baby. In addition to ice cream in the refrigerator, it is a mask without any ingredients. Yanj had to open the phone to order takeaway. After ordering the takeout, I noticed that there were a lot of missed calls on the phone. The original owner's mobile phone had 2 cards, one that she used on a weekdays, and one that contacted the Gu family and her family. In the missed call, both numbers contacted her. On the card of the family number, Gu Min's assistant called. Gu Yan never called the original owner himself, they were all assistants. Yan Ji knows that this assistant should be talking to her about Gu Di and her divorce. She ignored this mist. When I saw her YKO family account, it was strange that Gu Yan was greeting her and asked if she was busy. She is not busy, but is too lazy to return to him now. In the common number, Gu Zhen not only called her several times, but also asked her what she was doing and why she didn't return the information in one day. Yan Ji was about to throw the phone away, and Gu Zheng's phone came in again. Of course it hits this little lover. Doing what? I came back too sleepy last night and slept all day. I just woke up and was too hungry. I just called for a takeout and was waiting for the delivery. Gu Yan, who was on the other side of the phone, apparently did not expect that Yanj would respond like this. He said in silence, "Eat a little bit, and I'll be there in a while. Let's eat together." Okay, there are free dinners. Do NT eat white or not? Then I eat less. The two agreed to hang up the phone. Zhu Wei's cell phone and clothes are all in the room. Yanj turned over. He didn't have an identity card in his clothes, only $25 and a few cents. As for mobile phones, the cell phone is relatively high-end, but Yan Ji guessed that other women sent him. There are no mobile phone numbers stored in the contacts, and there are countless women in YKO. However, there are no notes. Yan Ji opened the space of Zhu Wei to check it out. Inside are some Zhu Wei's own selfies. From all angles, handsome or selling cute selfies, some are quite large scale, or this guy is not wearing a shirt, showing a mermaid line, or just having a shower of water on his body. Under each selfie, there are countless girls licking the screen. "My husband is so handsome and beautiful." It's terrible, so many women have no internal convictions, all of them wholeheartedly praise him. Zhu Wei's old driver's car skills, Yanj thinks she is truly beyond hope. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1454. However, Zhu Wei does not have his own data on this social software. Only the phone number. The phone is still here. Yanj dialed his number with his number, and then saved the number. She wanted to check the owner of this number in the business hall, but this matter, it is estimated that Gu must get out of the way. After all, she is a small person who wants to check other people's information. Without money and potential is equal to impossible. So when I went to see Gu Yan, she brought Zhu Wei's mobile phone with her. Gu's car was waiting outside the community. Yanj got in the car and asked him, "What to eat?" Gu Yan saw that she wore a white dress with a suspender, and a thin belt around her waist was tied with a bow. His long hair was loose and fluffy, without any decoration, but he couldn't keep his eyes open. It's probably because she slept all day, her face was lazy and charming. Gu Min pinched her face with her fingers. "No makeup." "Yanj, I'm afraid you waited, didn't draw, but I put on lipstick." She grumbled and showed him, "Is this lipstick good looking?" Gu Yan didn't answer. He lowered his head and bitten her moist lips. "It's delicious." She usually pays close attention to makeup, for fear of him waiting, even without makeup. This woman, who doesn't love his money and power, really likes him. Gu Yan was so moved that he couldn't wait to dedicate himself to Yanj on the spot. Fortunately, there is still a bit of reason. Knowing that men and women is a tough physical battle, you need to fill your stomach first. My cousin ran again as the ears lingered. Yan Ji angrily said to Gu Yan, "It was said that he went out to buy breakfast, but he disappeared." This guy ran fast. As soon as I heard that twist and run, Gu Min's heart was suddenly uneasy. I can't wait to applaud. However, looking at Yan Ji being so angry, he naturally did not show his joy. "Your cousin is too ignorant, but he should have a friend. Maybe he is going to a friend. Don't worry, he is already an adult, he has his own ideas, and you can't control it if you want to." Yanj sighed, I know, I am not even his parents, and his parents can't control him, let alone me, just think about sadness. I grew up together when I was a kid, and he was not like that. A guy who is so good, how can he go more and more? Guyan didn't want to waste the time with his family on useless men. He played with his fingers and said, after a while, would you like to go to the cinema to watch a movie? Both of them watched movies in the villa's audiovisual room, and they never really went out. Yan Ji is naturally happy, okay. Recently, a popular domestic soldier movie was released. Yan Ji originally thought that the movie theater would be overcrowded, but Guyan reserved it. Guyan was playing with her fingers while Yan Ji was watching a movie. Songs of words stunned him several times. The guy was obviously absent-minded. The movie is very bloody. Yan Ji has been waiting to finish watching the Easter eggs, so he asked Guyan, it's so beautiful, don't you like to watch it? I've watched it 4 times, Gu said. It did look good the first time, but I can't see it now. Yanj was surprised, will you come with me? It looks pretty good. I think you'll come and see it. Guyan grabbed Yan Ji's hand, let's go. Out of the cinema, it was already over 10 in the evening.